This is Talk of the Town, a weekly program featuring community events happening in and around Northeast Michigan, with your host, Nancy Smitham, and the latest news from Alpena Community College with Dr. Olin Joynton. And now, today's Talk of the Town.
Good morning and welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Nancy Smitham. My first guest today is Michael Marthaler, and Michael is a local author. Hi, Michael. How are you today?
Hello, Nancy. I'm fine.
And today you brought a copy of your book, Charlie the Out-of-Place Turtle. And I'm certain when you first begin writing a book that it's something that's really not that easy to do, or everybody would be an author. How did you get started with this book?
Well, I never actually intended to write a book. It wasn't something that I set out to do in my life. But I ended up working for the Forest Service a couple of months ago, well, a couple years back now. But part of my job then was to stock a bookstore. It was how I was paid. So in the course of that, I ended up reading a lot of the books, and the books we mainly sold were children's books. Now, there are a lot of great children's books out there, but most of them were just, they didn't have a really strong environmental message. You know, they would say things like, you know, mooses lose their antlers every year in a really cute way, but they didn't say anything. So I got to talking to my boss about it, and she said that if I actually wanted to attempt to do better, she would carry it.
Ah.
And so I started to write it, and I put it away for a while, and ended up back in college, where I bumped into a couple of my friends from college and asked them if they'd like to join the idea. I know every person who is part of that book, to include the illustrator, who did an amazing job.
Yes. I'm going to show a few pages here while you keep talking.
Feel free. So we set out to kind of do a book that hadn't been done before as far as like illustration goes. I told my illustrator, draw whatever you want. Like, you just can't, you know, draw anything negative or anything, you know, that would be bad. But do it with the freedom and as much fun as you can do, and get the message across through the pictures. So typically when you write a children's book, the author and the illustrator never meet.
Oh.
They, like, in a traditional sense, you know, a new author would be given to like maybe a famous illustrator to try to boost your sales. In this instance, we had direct communication with each other, and actually, funny story, we actually become neighbors throughout the process. So it was almost like a daily thing where we were interacting and saying things that we liked and didn't like about the images and the storyline. So that was a really nice part of the process.
So she illustrates it on just paper?
She actually drew most of it out on like paper, and then like scanned it in, and then added stuff in like colors and stuff later. But yeah, everything in the book was originally drawn by hand and then like converted over.
Wow.
I actually learned a lot about that process myself. It was different. I'd never seen how that stuff actually works.
Now, how did you get the story, Michael, for Charlie the Out-of-Place Turtle?
All right, so the story is a boy finds a turtle outside, tries to bring him inside. A bunch of shenanigans happens. They realize that, you know, outside's a better place for him, so that's where they put him. I come up with that storyline because at the Forest Service, I realized that anytime I was working with children, anything slower than them ended up in a jar, a shoebox, you know, and I couldn't count how many bugs, turtles, lizards, snakes ended up, you know, just kind of confined. So I thought I'd tackle the issue in kind of the funniest, most polite way I could, and that became the subject of this story.
And it's real easy reading. It's a really nice rhyme. It flows really well and easy to read. And now on the back of the book, you made a promise. Tell us about the promise.
Yeah. For every 1,000 books we sell, we're going to donate 100 books, or the money equivalent to you know, children's hospitals or environmental causes. Basically what's going to happen is when we get close to that number, we have a Facebook page that you can join us on. We're going to put up a thing, and you're going to be able to vote on what we donate to or where the money goes.
Very good.
So we're just going to put it up there, and it's going to be our fans' decision on what happens to it.
All right, so you came up with an idea for a book, you found an illustrator, then what?
Then you write, rewrite throw the story away, get mad, and rewrite it again. There's a list of about 5 people in the front of that book that I cannot thank enough. Like, they kept me on track. They were there when I was frustrated and like, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot find a new rhyme for turtle again. Like,
Nothing rhymes with turtle.
yeah, but I mean, it was really kind of a group effort because we're an independent book, so there was no secondary editor, for instance. I had to go out and I had to find someone who was willing to do this. Actually, Chris Broughton, one of our special thanks people, ended up being, he was a school teacher in Alaska at the time, and we ended up doing a lot of stuff via email and Skype in the editing, but we were able to get in touch with a lot of educators through him to see what they wanted in this book. So we were able to like do things like throw in some extra biological terms and things like that that we might have been shying away from originally in the rhyme scheme, which was really kind of an interesting thing.
I see the word niche in there, so yes. And then, so then you go online and you found an online publisher?
Yes, we did. After we edited it and all that, we waited a little while, did a little bit of research with the people that we knew we could get our first couple of books into to see if, like, you know, this would be something that they would carry. We tried to do some traditional publishing things, but they didn't really like how we'd set it up. As I said, they kind of want you to be with their illustrators and things like that. So we decided to continue going this independent route, which, you know, we're really happy with. We were able to do, you know, just as much strange stuff as you want to do in a book. And so we actually have an on-demand printing system. So if you buy our book on Amazon or something, the book doesn't physically exist until you order it, and then they print it off and ship it to you.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
All right, so how do we find this book and where can we get our own copy?
Right now, we are carried in the Alpena area at the Jesse Besser Museum.
Okay.
And the Maritime Shipwreck Center.
Okay. At the store, Thunder Bay? Okay.
Yeah, the Thunder Bay Maritime Shipwreck thing. They carry our books currently in Alpena. You can find our book a bunch of places in the UP. That's where I kind of live at the current moment, so we're all over the place up there. But Amazon, Barnes & Noble online, they all carry us.
Okay, so you just look up one of those places and look for Charlie the Out-of-Place Turtle.
Yeah, and feel free to join us on our Facebook page. It's where you're going to be able to vote on what we do with the money. All the coloring pages and things like that are in the back are actually also free on our Facebook page. You can go there, print them off, color them, and share them with us. We love it. If you make any comments, we actually respond to you personally, you know.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being here, and congratulations. Do you have any other books in the works?
We're thinking about it right now. We're going to put some ideas out on the internet and see what the fans want us to write about, and then we'll work with it from there.
Okay, and once again, Charlie the Out-of-Place Turtle, you can get it in lots of places.
Thank you. Yep.
I'll be right back with some information on the Children's Advocacy Center following these messages. Hi, welcome back. My last guest today is Clint Bolin, and he is from the Children's Advocacy Center. Wow, that was a mouthful for me to say. Children's Advocacy Center. There, got it this time. Yep. So, you know, I've been reading a lot about it in the paper. I know you have a lot of people who are just gung-ho about it. I've been hearing a lot about it. So why don't you start out telling the audience all about the Children's Advocacy Center?
Sure. Well, first of all, there are 700 advocacy centers throughout the United States. So this is not a new program per se, but it's new to Northeast Michigan. The concept was discovered through our visit to Traverse City. And there's a CAC there, that's Children's Advocacy Center, the Traverse Bay CAC, and they kindly showed us how they do what they do. And a group of agencies that were part of this larger project that I'm associated with wanted to see a CAC established here. And so through the Kellogg Foundation, which we're very thankful for their support, we've been able to both plan and now implement a CAC here. And the purpose of the CAC primarily is to prevent child abuse and neglect. And we do that in a couple ways. One, we do education on child abuse and neglect with both children and the community at large. And then we also do prevention work. And through that education, we also get out and advocate for the elimination of child abuse and neglect. And then finally, we also have a mission that we serve these children who are abused and neglect through providing a single site where children come, they're interviewed, and also can receive a medical evaluation in the cases of abuse. And it's all at one site. The typical way of dealing with these cases is the prosecutor interviews the child, then DHS interviews the child again for a second time, and then the law enforcement may have interviewed up front. And so there are these multiple interviews that go on. What we're trying to do is establish a one stop for these children so that they receive one interview by a trained interviewer, and all the necessary pertinent parties are there to observe the interview, not in that room.
Wonderful.
But separate from. And then we also have a victim advocate who serves that child and helps them both in terms of receiving treatment and support as they work through this incident, if it's in fact confirmed that there is abuse.
Okay, and child abuse takes many different forms too.
It does. It does. It can be obviously physical. That's the most obvious, but also emotional abuse and sexual abuse, which is not always evident, like a black eye or a broken arm. And so these kids have a myriad of needs. We fortunately, because of the larger umbrella project, we have, for example, community mental health is involved. We have the what are called federally qualified health centers, which are Thunder Bay Community Health Services and Alcona Health Center, and they have behavioral health specialists who deal with children exclusively on their staff, who are familiar with the treatment of kids who have been abused. And so we're able to bring all these agencies together and coordinate the service for that child. And so these different forms of abuse can be treated and cared for. Finally, we also have, as part of this program, what's called a parent mentor program, where if there is a suspected incident of child abuse, but it's not confirmed, we can offer a family support in parenting. And obviously, the goal there then is to equip that family with the tools and techniques to, for example, to communicate better as a family, to help that family in issues such as budgeting and very practical issues, meal preparation, home cleanliness, and those kinds of issues, and also helping that family in proper discipline it's relative to their kids. And so we try to cover the spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, your referrals have to come through the courts or through DHS or through a referral source. But now if someone out in our community knows of a case, something's going on in a family, what can they do to make sure it gets brought to someone's attention? Yeah.
Well, if child abuse is suspected, the state has recently gone to a single reporting phone number. It's a centralized reporting phone number, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't bring that number with me, but they prefer that you use that phone number, so you can actually call DHS directly and get that phone number, and then report suspected cases of abuse through that phone number. And again, by just contacting our local DHS office, they can tie you into that system. You can also report it to a police officer, and that's another method of reporting suspected child abuse. And then also through any mandated reporter, such as a teacher at school. You can share your suspicions with a teacher and let them know, and certainly they will have their antenna up, and they know how to report that as well.
Now, what ages of children do you serve?
Well, our project's main target is 0 to 12. However, when it comes to abuse and neglect of children, we're looking at 17 and under. So it could be a high school or junior high student, elementary aged, or even a preschool.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, and I love the idea of the child having to tell their story one time. That's pretty wonderful. It has to, speak volumes of what they're going through.
Yes, and we do that for two reasons. One, reduce the trauma for the child first and foremost, and then secondly, it protects the evidence. Often children are coached, and so that evidence can be degraded over time if one interview takes place and then next week another one does.
Story changes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's beneficial both to the child, first and foremost, and then secondly to the prosecution of abuse.
Okay, and your advocacy center is actually located on River Street.
No, it's actually located at Elkona Health Center on US 23 North. That's 1185 North US 23.
Okay.
And Elkona Health Center graciously allowed us to use that facility. Now, this particular center requires community support, and so on April 20th, we're going to be conducting our first CAC Gala.
Okay.
And we are going to develop a base of community support for the prevention and elimination of child abuse and neglect. And if folks are interested in that, they can contact my office at 989-340-0960, and we can provide them with more information if they'd like to attend the April 20th gala.
Okay, well, it sounds good. It sounds like something that we need to support in our community. Thank you for being there. Any other needs other than financial at this time, or?
Well, we certainly have needs for volunteers, and in a couple ways. One, our Parent Mentor program is a volunteer program, and so if someone wanted to work with a family over the course of a year, once a week for an hour a week, and help them move forward in progressing toward a more healthy family and toward healthy children, we'd like to get them involved. Secondly, we actually need volunteers for just some very fundamental work that goes on in this project, so we'd appreciate that help too.
Okay, I want to thank you very much, and I know we have you scheduled somewhere down the line again to come back, and we can talk again about some of the projects and maybe about the April Gala.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please stay tuned for Dr. Olin Jointon following these messages.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm Olin Jointon, president of Alpena Community College, and my guest this morning, Mr. Josh Phillips. Good morning, Josh.
Morning.
And you are a graduate of ACC's Manufacturing Technology program, and that's going to be our topic today, the field of manufacturing manufacturing technology. So it's great to have you on board the show. Let's see, you were telling me that you grew up in the Alpena area, a little bit to the south, and graduated from Alpena High School in 2002.
Yes, I did.
And did you have any idea when you were in high school what you wanted to go into in college?
No, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do after high school, so I started taking a few classes at the college. I enrolled in the CIS or IT program, I guess you could say, and I went on to the manufacturing program, and I talked to Mr. Tasher and kind of figured out what I wanted to do, and he talked me into going to Ferris State University to pursue a bachelor's in manufacturing engineering.
So you went through the manufacturing tech program at ACC and then transferred to Ferris for your bachelor's degree. I believe you also told me you took some additional classes at ACC after you graduated that transferred to the Ferris program.
Yeah, I completed the manufacturing tech degree at ACC and got an associate's, and then I stayed around for an extra year to take transfer classes, which saved me quite a bit of money.
Right.
Staying at a local college.
Well, good. Well, going into the field in the early 2000s, certainly you must have heard some talk about whether this is a wise decision because so many manufacturing jobs and enterprises being sent overseas. What was your thought process in figuring out, well, yes, this really is a viable career in the United States?
Well, that was a little bit of a risk.
I know Mr. Tosh and the other faculty members are aware of what's going on in the industry, and part of their interaction with me has been to assure me, yes, there are good positions available.
Yeah, there's no lack of good positions available. There is a lack of skilled workers to fulfill those positions. If you go on any of the websites like monster.com or the Michigan Works website and you search for an engineering position in Michigan, you'll find over 1,000 listings.
So you're really a shining example of how manufacturing careers in Michigan are still quite viable. And you know, some things I've been reading lately talk about kind of interesting phenomenon. Some of those jobs went overseas because the wages were so low, but those industries prospered in China and Mexico. And guess what? People all over the world want to upgrade their standard of living and get into the middle class, and that's putting pressure upwards on wages in those countries that is making it really better for those jobs to be here, back here in the United States, cheaper for the companies to manufacture stuff in the United States as against the rising costs of doing business overseas.
Right, yeah, I work for a family-owned business, and a lot of the jobs are coming back. Good people are hard to find to fill those positions, and you know, we've been looking for people for quite some time. And
so you're now employed by Cadillac Products in Rogers City as a process engineer, as a ACC and Ferris graduate.
Yep.
What do you like about the work that you do there?
I'm really, you know, hands-on person. I like technology. I get to research new technology. I get to design and build tooling. It's just something I really enjoy doing.
Very good. And where do you see your current position potentially leading to as you think about subsequent stages in your career development?
Well, if I were to stay with the same company, there's opportunities in like R&D, and I could also be a program manager and handle vehicle launches and stuff like that.
I've heard that for a lot of engineers, a career path might involve working as an engineer for 5 or 10 years, but if you're looking to progress, perhaps getting an MBA, Master's of Business Administration, at some point to equip you for bigger responsibilities. So,
yeah, I mean, there's engineering management positions, you know, available as well. That's a route you could take.
Very good. Let's go back to your time at ACC. How about telling me what worked particularly well for you as a manufacturing tech student? And you know, if you want to shine the light on any of our instructors that treated you especially well, that's always welcome.
Yeah, the program at ACC is excellent. I was a little worried when I transferred to Ferris. You know, being a transfer student, I wasn't sure if I would you know, have all the skills that I needed to, you know, to enter and be successful. But that wasn't the case. I was actually, I did quite well. I was at the top of the class, and I felt really comfortable going there.
That's great. That's great. We hear that a lot. And Ferris sends us data every year. Didn't know if you knew this.
No, I didn't.
Showing how people who have transferred into their programs from community colleges do, and the community college transfers do better than the people who started at Ferris in terms of GPA and graduation rate. And the really cool thing is they also disaggregate the ACC transfers and how they fared. And the ACC transfers do better than the community college average, who do better than the people who started at Ferris. So
yeah, ACC has an excellent program, and you know, the instructors there, they make sure you're very well prepared.
So I think the message for the audience would be, if you're interested in manufacturing, maybe if you have been in that field and need any kind of upgrading, the opportunities for career success like you've experienced are out there. And a number of companies, company owners and managers tell me, boy, they sure would like to expand and upgrade their production if they could only find the qualified people like you.
Right,
so
yeah.
It's a promising field, and ACC is a great place to get started in that field. And congratulations on your success and also your perception that higher level of education at Ferris would position you well for a great career.
Thanks.
And thanks for being on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me.
This has been Talk of the Town with Nancy Smitham and Dr. Olin Joynton. For a list of events taking place in Northeast Michigan, visit our website at wbkb11.com and click on Community. This has been a Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation production.